This is what another one-named man, Shaquille, posted yesterday. A photo of him and Kobe taking on LeBron and AD, metaphorically, right? The question was, 2-on-2, who you got? Y'all already know who I got. So, Paul, obviously, Shaq and Kobe have had more of a history of success as a duo, got a lot more time. AD and LeBron hadn't played that long together. These two had a three-peat. Both men have already finished their Hall of Fame careers. But specifically, if you were just putting them all at their prime, let's just say all four at their prime, a game of 2-on-2, and you played against every single one of those guys.
Oh, my God.
In their prime, actually, so you tell me.
This is not a hard one. It's Shaq and Kobe.
Whoa.
Come on now. What are you talking about? Shaq and Kobe,
Give me your
hands
reasons.
down.
Give me your reasons.
I mean, you're talking about two of the top 10 players all time. We already know LeBron is going to be in the top 5. We don't know where AD is going to be at when his career ends. So this is a no-brainer right now as we speak. But maybe down the line they'll have a chance.
First of all, I'm a little nervous with your hand gestures. You got two phones next
I got
to your
two.
First of all,
You got
we
the
know that
Zoom
Paul
artist, two
has
phones.
Paul, please. Paul was born like this, apparently. This is all Paul does anymore.
We've already had one spill. I'm just worried about the
No,
technology.
I got it all under control. It's organized.
2-on-2. Shaq is a trump card.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do with Shaq?
Right.
Prime Shaq? Forget.
Prime
Who's
Shaq,
guarding him?
forget
AD?
about it.
AD's a great defensive
LeBron
player.
has a better chance at guard.
It might be, and Shaq's just, you're going to be out of bounds and he's going to be dunking over and over again. I don't care if you play ones, twos, whatever. Shaq's just going to dunk over and over.
I mean, this is the thing that's so crazy about Shaq is that when you say there, Paul, at the beginning, you said, oh, LeBron, is one of the greatest players of all time. You're thinking in your head Michael Jordan. You might be thinking about Kareem. While Shaq is not usually in anyone's top 3 in those conversations, he is, once you start doing this kind of exercise, everyone's like, yeah, most dominant, most unstoppable, all of those kinds of things. You can't really put anyone up against him.
No one.
What did you guys do when you were game planning to play against him?
We were like, we tried to front him, but the bad thing about it is I was the weak side guy. So imagine like a guy standing in front of Shaq, they lob the ball over, and then I have to come over and run and trap him. So I'll tell you once, he turned the ball over one time and went up for the dunk, and I smacked the ball as hard as I can. It didn't go out his hand. He kept going up and dunked it, and I was like, hey, I'm not helping no more.
Right.
Y'all got this. He could get 30 and 40. Let's stop Kobe, y'all. Let's go.
I'm not sure how much money you would have to pay me to stand still and take a charge from like an on-rushing prime Shaq, but it would be a lot of money because I'm not coming out of that well.
I was going to say, I don't want to. I don't think he would get up.
I mean, once he get the ball and then he do this, Zach.
No, it's over for me. I'm going to the hospital.
Like, this is what you're going to get every day. That's like, what you going to do?
Nothing.
Get out the way.
By the way, how nice for the Lakers franchise that you can even have this conversation. This, by the way, led to one of a version of our conversations the other day, which is when you talk about who the best Laker has been, right? You've got a guy like LeBron James, who, again, people would say is in the top 2 or 3 of all time, but you would never call him the best Laker because he hasn't won anything there, right? He just got here. So you have a weird situation where he might be the best player to put on a Laker uniform, although people will talk about Kareem, by the way, but not the best Laker. Would you say Kobe or Shaq is the best Laker, or Kareem?
Well, we all know Magic is the best Laker. I mean, he has 5 titles. He's won 3 MVPs in the Laker uniform.
Right.
What he's accomplished in that uniform.
Right, I guess that's the point, right?
What he's accomplished like Kareem is great, but Magic accomplished more in that uniform.
Well, Kobe's got 5 titles in that uniform.
Yeah, but Magic still accomplished more in a Laker uniform. I mean, they both got 5 titles, but Magic's trump card is the MVPs right there.
Magic is the all-time Laker. The guy whose name, and it just happened again, who never gets mentioned in the best Laker of all time, not even a mention, is Jerry West. And he should be mentioned. He's one of the greatest players of all time. He's a million-time All-Star. They made the finals a ton of times in a row. And if not for the Bill Russell Celtics, he may be a 4 or 5-time champion, and then he's in this conversation. I got one for you.
Hold on, I got one real quick. Since we saying Magic is the best Laker,
right?
Why do we hear conversations about Kobe being the greatest?
Well,
where's Magic fit in that conversation?
Like of all time?
Of all time. There's an argument that Kobe is up there with Jordan second or third.
That's why when I said to you, who's the best Laker?
If Magic is the best Laker, where does he fit? If he's better than Kobe.
Above Kobe.
All right, then. So, young generation, please get YouTube. Watch these Magic Johnson highlights, please. Because Magic was defining for the game of basketball in the 80s.
Well, there you go. I would say, though, to your Jerry West point, if we did have the Shaq and Kobe 2-on-2 versus LeBron and AD, but then they called Jerry West on to be like 3-2 with them against.
I spoke to him late last season, and obviously we all know it was a disaster, and he was part of that. You know, as much as the flack that LeBron got for his part in the team's lack of success last year, Rondo did some things that didn't bring a lot of honor to the franchise, sitting on the bench with the stands in the middle of a blowout. Yeah. But he's been instrumental to their success. I have to imagine they would want to bring him back, if only for the reason that he is a bridge between LeBron James and Anthony Davis. He has an independent relationship with Anthony, as does LeBron, and it gives them another voice in that locker room, another strong perspective from experience. Think back to the most pivotal moment in these playoffs for the Lakers. Anthony Davis hitting the game winner at the end of the conference finals game 2 against Denver. The only reason that happens is Rajon Rondo checks himself into the game and is the trigger man. And if it was someone else, Contavious Caldwell-Pope passing that ball in or anybody else, they would feel the pressure to run the play and get it to LeBron James.
Right.
But Rajon Rondo made the correct basketball play, found an open Anthony Davis, and the Lakers used that to get their momentum all the way to the NBA Finals.
Well, look, it's all about what the market is for a player. Like, you know, with that player option, the Lakers are going to keep him because he's undervalued right there. I'm saying, like, he's a very, very good bargain. So I think it's up to Rondo and what he wants. Like, this is at a time in his career where, you know, if they're fortunate enough to win the championship and he's accomplished that, he's accomplished pretty much everything that you can accomplish. So it just depends on what type of role he wants to be in.
It's so crazy, though, when you think back to just a few years ago, you were on the Dallas team that asked him to leave during the playoffs.
Well, asking him, telling him, like there's, you know, there's a range. And look, I stand by this. Like I love being Rondo's teammate. Extremely intelligent, hard worker, wants to win. You know, and so I understand where there was a little bit of a conflict there, but I think he's where he wants to be. And I'm not going to lie. Even when we were playing in Dallas, he wanted to be in LA. He said that when we were in Dallas. He's been saying it for years. So I think he's found a home. Just a matter of not if, you know, he wants to stay here.
And look, we talk so much about Jimmy Butler and fit. It's just the truth. I mean, I say it all the time, right? The top 10% of guys in the league could play anywhere. The bottom 10% of guys in the league probably shouldn't play anywhere. Yeah. But that middle 80%, they either maximize or not, depending on fit. Rajon Rondo has a great fit with those players and this team.
I mean, after LeBron and Anthony Davis, who's been the third most impactful player for the Lakers this postseason run? I would say Rondo. Obviously, he wasn't there for the first round against Portland, coming back from back spasms and that broken thumb. But ever since the Houston series on forwards, he has been so instrumental. And it's not just that play against Denver. It is the way he's gotten Markieff Morris going in the second unit, their camaraderie together. Yeah. And then it's quite frankly, the voice that he has in film sessions. I was told by a team source yesterday the Lakers had an off day, but they still had a team film session. And the two most vocal players, LeBron James, Rajon Rondo, both being very intense and engaged, according to a source.
Well, yeah.
All right, well, I want to get to another guy on the roster who's had his career certainly changed over the course of this season, Dwight Howard, right? Huge compliment from former Laker, Meta World Peace. He's always going to be Ron Artest to me, sorry. Coach Vogel did a great job giving Dwight some shine as a starter. LA, we put Dwight through a lot in his first stint. He had back surgery. We still bashed him. He had a disc the size of a flat softball removed from his back. Anyway, this is great to cement his legacy. Dwight replied to this piece to thank him. It was a pretty nice moment, right? And for our younger viewers, right? Should we just share?
Just share.
If you don't know who Ron Artest is, starter, of course, for that last Laker title team back in 2010. Much like Dwight in the present, he had a very, let's just say, difficult path to get to that point. Yeah. That title was a bit of a redemption story, right, for him. And look at Dwight's career path. He began on that Hall of Fame trajectory with the Orlando Magic right here in this city, 2004 to 2012. He was the one who led them to their last finals appearance in 2009. Of course, all those Defensive Player of the Year awards in 2012 traded to the Lakers. That one-year experiment to play with Kobe, Pau Gasol, and Steve Nash did not work. Signed with the Rockets in 2013. Did not work with James Harden either. Dwight bounced around from team after team after that. Did not work. I could just keep saying that over and over again until he got to that non-guaranteed deal at the start of this season. Dwight, I'm so fascinated by the parallel between him and Ron, and you covered that team. How do you see Dwight if he is able to win a title, starting in the NBA Finals.
It was a disaster of a season. I can't underscore that enough. And Dwight Howard was a huge part of it. It was oil and water between him and Kobe Bryant, the stage of their career, their approach to life in general. But quite frankly, Dwight didn't get enough credit for the way he played through injuries. I saw a picture of that disc that Ron is referring to. It was gruesome. And he played through that. He played through a torn labrum that season. But the maturity side wasn't there. This year, he's a different guy. He's a breath of fresh air. And he's stayed by his word from the start. He said, I want to earn it. Don't give me a guaranteed contract. Let me prove that I am as important to this franchise as this franchise is to me in this stage of my life. And here he was, even before the bubble started. He had some reservations about coming down here. The mother of one of his children passed away during the hiatus, and that's a tough thing to deal with. But he wanted to see through his commitment to the franchise, and here he is, a starter on a team that's one win away from the finals, from the championship.
Yeah, and it's so impressive because he knew what he had to do. And I think a lot of those stops that he had over the course of those years, he always felt like it wasn't his fault or there were things that could have been handled differently. But I think when he got here, he focused on himself. What can I do to help? Versus like, hey, I want to come here. I need post touches. I need points. I need minutes. I need all of these different things because that's who I am. It's like, hey, I get here and I want to see how I can help. And look, we saw it also this year with Carmelo Anthony. Taking a step back from like what you once were and getting to a spot of I just want to play this game that I love and I want to contribute to a good team. And Dwight was so impressive this year. Look at what he did last round against Jokic. He was a huge reason why the Lakers were able to play and advance in that series. So I'm extremely happy for him. And I think this is a lesson to a lot of guys. As they get older, you got to change your mindset, and then you'll get the success that you